want to revisit, some of the previous cheating scandals we've seen. Not so much Postle, like that one. I feel pretty confident. He just had stream access.
Yeah.
But more so, like,
don't talk about my girl.
I'm just saying.
Don't.
I mean, the water bottle was there.
Girl.
I mean, that's one thing we can say.
The water bottle now, all of a sudden, the water bottle being on the table makes a hell of a lot of fucking sense.
But it's so hard to like have a camera in that nobody just like see after.
No way.
Huh?
No way.
What do you mean?
These cameras are microscopic.
Yeah.
They're so small. The earbud. Okay, so I'll fill you guys in on what happened. So there's been these cheating rings going around for the better part of 18 months. Some have said it dates all the way back to like 4 or 5 years ago, perhaps even further. We're not really sure. But in any event, recently, as recent as 2 days ago, actually, somebody was finally caught and arrested. And this is the first smoking gun that we've actually seen accessed, where, everything else I'm going to speak to today is speculation with a high degree of conviction.
Okay.
We're speculating what happened. We're speculating that we were cheated, but the level of confidence that myself and roughly 100 other high stakes regs have is somewhere in the 90th plus percentile.
Gotcha.
Just really, really impossible for a lot of the events that occurred for it not to be cheating. The same way Landon was very confident in Texas. It just makes sense. And honestly, like looking back on the Texas thing, almost certain that these guys were a part of this group. But what happened, I guess this was 2 days ago, was French police caught a casino fraudster using a mini earpiece and a camera. So they didn't divulge like any images of what they found or anything like that, but they described it. And effectively what was happening was this player was in a game where he had a pinhole camera inserted into a device that he had on the felt. Now, I don't think they described what it was. I think people are always really aloof about giving details because they don't want to give the opportunity to replicate. But the thing is like once it's out, then we have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
So I can give you guys more detail as we go on about how we perceive the cheating to have occurred. But anyway, he had a pinhole camera in some sort of device on the felt. Call it a card protector, call it a phone, a key fob, something along those lines.
Something.
Right? Yeah, something like that. He had a very microscopic camera. And additionally, he was wearing an earpiece that was so small it had to be removed from his ear with a magnet.
That's insane.
So it's just totally undetectable by the naked eye, right? And when I tell you how we got cheated this summer, it's going to be laughable because this guy was fucking using AirPods.
Yeah.
Like he was just spitting in our face. Like, fuck you guys, do something about it. So in any event, they basically like cased this guy out who they suspected of being a part of, and then the article says allegedly, using this sophisticated technique to fraudulently win only tens of thousands of dollars in this particular instance.
Only.
Well, when I start to tell you the numbers are getting kicked around, some of the games that I frequent and others, this is a slap on the wrist.
I mean, it sounds like one day, so regardless, it's just like
That's true.
Accumulation.
Yeah, that part's actually very true.
I guarantee these guys didn't sleep for fucking, I don't know, the last 3 years probably.
That's true. So the way that it works is the pinhole camera captures the dealer's pitch. So as the dealer is pitching the cards out around the table, it's able to capture an image of each card as it's being dealt out, and then you know what each seat holds. Very similar to this demonstration that we're showing you here. From there, that information is being seen.
That is a really good camera.
Right. It's like
for as small as it
so
is.
small.
I mean,
yeah. So from there, that information's passed back to a third party. Now, in this particular instance, that third party was like sitting in a car outside of the casino, just like
it's a straight
minding
up
his
movie.
own. Yeah, like you can't write this shit. You truly can't. Like if you scripted this, someone would throw it away and be like, "That's so unbelievable."
That's literally every movie heist in France.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah, it's like a dozen gambling movie tropes just thrown into one. I'm sure the guy was smoking a cigarette.
Yep.
You know, just as you are.
He had his leather jacket on.
Right. So what ends up happening then is he relays the information back to the player via the earpiece. Yeah.
Dude, how strong must that signal be?
No. They're just talking through WhatsApp.
What I'm saying is if there's video being caught of the hole cards,
Everything's
That video is being sent back to.
everything's going through his phone.
Okay.
Right. So what happens is the camera is connected to the phone.
His phone.
Yeah.
At
the
the table.
player
His
at the table. Yeah, and then he's just sharing his screen on an open WhatsApp call to whoever's on the outside.
Okay.
WhatsApp
That makes-
or some other
that
communication.
makes more
Discord.
sense.
Discord would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Something
So
along
he's
like
not
that.
actually looking at his phone.
No.
Someone is actually just relaying
The guy who
information.
cheated us had his phone on the rail for 18 hours and never touched it one fucking time.
Okay.
That's
It's
wild.
just like-
That's sharp because then you're
Right.
really giving yourself away.
Yeah, of course. You pick it up one fucking time and you just, there's this video up or
Yeah.
there's a call going on or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that information then gets passed two ways. It's the information gets received from the game to a third party. That third party then relays it back. I've heard, and again, this is speculation. I don't know how true it is, but I've heard some of the more sophisticated rings that are doing this at scale just have a call center in like Indonesia.
That's pretty sick.
They're just like $8 an hour workers that are just sitting around watching a poker game, relaying back to you the whole cards of your opponents.
Think about this. If you have that going on, how many people do you think you have working for you?
Right.
Like in that scheme.
Right. That's the thing.
That means like, fuck. A lot of games can be tainted around the world. That's crazy.
For sure. And the thing is the only reason they're getting caught is because they got greedy and went to high stakes.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's virtually impossible to catch something like this in low stakes because there's no barrier of entry. Right. There's no private games. Everything is public. And
well, not only that, to split profits at those games, it's just not really worth.
Right. Well, it is if you can put in volume, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's too slow. Right. It's just too slow. The money isn't really worth it all that much. And it's also very tricky because like, well, maybe it's not that tricky because like you can move seats a little bit easier, but like basically they need
You want to be in the 1 or the
they
9,
need to be in the
right?
1, 2, 9, or 8.
Yeah.
And actually, really you want to be in the 1 or the 2 specifically because most dealers are right-handed.
Yeah.
So they pitch around like this. Whereas now if you're on the other side, you're missing that whole half of the table.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, basically you just really want to be in the 1 or the 2 when it's all said or done. And maybe in like public games, that's doable, I guess. And you could even have multiple people in the same game with devices so that somebody
Everybody
ends up in the 1 or the 2.
Yeah.
But I think the bigger issue with like smaller stakes or why it's not going to be super common at small stakes, I suppose, is the money factor like Guapo mentioned. The risk just isn't really worth the reward all
Juice
that
isn't
much.
worth the squeeze,
Yeah, like
yeah.
you're doing this for, if you do this at like 5-10, I mean, I don't know.
Even
you
if
make
you
it-
still got to split that in half, though.
Yeah, but you might be able to do it for like $300 an hour.
And it's not even like you don't have to split anything half. You can have multiple people in multiple games. Like they have a
Right, you just
fucking if
pull
they have
everything.
a call center, like think about how many people can like be working per se.
Yeah, if you had an operation of like a few dozen people, honestly, I take it back. I think
you
this
can
might run.
crush low stakes.
And for what it's worth, I heard that LA, like specifically Commerce, was like plagued with this.
Like wow.
Maybe still are, but the most recent stories have all come out post World Series.
Okay.
Because everybody was here for the summer, so obviously these games were getting hit. And I know of at least 3 high stakes games that were hit. I know of a high roller that was hit. The irony though is they were all effectively caught.
Okay.
I mean, like, not caught red-handed, we have the device on you, you're banned from all properties, but like confidently caught to where everybody got banned from the games.
Gotcha.
And one person had to have his device removed. Like we're pretty sure he had it in his sunglasses.
This is at Commerce you're talking about?
No, this is all here during the
okay.
summer. But now that the World Series is over, everybody's dispersing. So I heard that the high stakes game in Parks got hit most recently.
Okay.
I heard that a bunch of games in Commerce were being targeted over the last like 2 or 3 weeks.
Is this a network of people or just?
I mean,
It's a large network of people. There was a statement. This is a little bit older now. We found this whenever we originally were looking into the Bahamas cheating ring, which I'll give some details on that momentarily. But to give you a little bit more framework of what we're dealing with here and what to look for, essentially, there was this statement made in Korean that was then translated. And it's a very rough translation, but in essence, the long and short of this statement is that there's a cheating ring that's going around that is mixed between Russians and Uzbekistans, or Uzbek nationality.
Uzbek,
yeah. And they basically are some mix of. Basically, they're saying like it's a distribution of like 70% Koreans, 30% Russians. And the way that these rings are working are just how I described. Somebody sits in the 1 or 2 seat. They have a device. That device catches the dealer's pitch. That information is then relayed to a third party who relays it back to the player and now has relatively perfect information. Obviously, some cards might get missed here and there, but you're going to be working with a lot of information when it's all said and done. The scale of which this, I guess, extends out is maybe a bit unknown, but what we do know is that hang on, I want to look at my notes, make sure I get this right. What we do know is that the way that they're cheating, which we've already previously discussed, as well as where these stories are coming out of. So we've heard from the Bahamas, as I previously mentioned, Texas, LA, Pennsylvania now, in Philly. Obviously, the WSOP, there was an instance in the 50K event. There was an instance in pretty much every major room here this summer.
That's sick.
Triton, WPT, private cash games, Cyprus, Norway, Korea, Florida, Montenegro.
So everywhere.
All of these are on the list. So in order to hit that mass over 18 months, the operation's obviously not small. And at this point, I think we all are kind of the impression that it's a concentrated effort amongst a relatively well-comprised group.
If we were guessing, how many people would you say? Because like if you think about it, it has to be, I don't know, at the bare minimum, 30 to 40 maybe?
Yeah.
Like,
I think so. I mean, the thing is too, like, some of the people, like, there's a reason why I'm not showing pictures or naming names, right? Some of the people are believed to be incredibly connected.
Gotcha.
And that's not really a risk I want to take on by being a bit of a
whistleblower.
Not even a whistleblower. I just I'm mostly doing this to get the word out and try to influence operators a little bit better, because there's an easy way to correct this.
Take everything off the table.
No. That's what they're going to gravitate towards, and it's not the right way to police this.
That's the first thing that I would think of.
Right, but it's and I don't mean to come off so harshly, but it's incorrect. And the reason why is because you can never strip somebody naked. There was a person who was asked to leave a Triton event because he refused to remove his jewelry. The camera was suspected to be in the ring on his finger. Wow. So you can't take that off the table. Yeah. Right? You don't see the earbud because it's microscopic. These devices are going to continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So you have to go to the core of the problem, which is the dealer's pitch. You have to correct the dealer's pitch.
That's so hard to do, man.
It's not. It's not. It was hard to burn a card too until you made it protocol. You know?
Yes, maybe.
Right? Like, things just have to get instituted that are good for the long-term health of the game. And sure, it'll be a slow process. Okay. But it has to start with somebody deciding that this is worth retraining